All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. Now, it has been a very slow news day since yesterday, but I do have a couple things we're going to look at here today, and we're actually going to start off with the same graphic that I showed yesterday in regards to the movies adjusted for inflation and where everything ranks. Now, I found a version of the graphic that didn't have the big circle around it, and we need to talk about this graphic because there's some stuff I need to point out for the slow people in the back and the people who can't hear me. So we need to look at this, and I'm going to have a discussion here on what people need to understand about the adjustment for inflation. So let's take a look at the photos that I've grabbed since yesterday. So here is that graph again, and it shows you all the movies and, the highest grossing movies of, well, not the highest grossing, okay? And that's kind of my point. Well, it is the highest grossing. It is. But what I'm more concerned with on this graph is the fact that this has been adjusted for inflation as of year 2023. By adjusting it for inflation, you put everything on a level playing field. Now, I'm looking at grosses only. Now, I had people try to attack me on social media that I'm not taking into account the budgets, which also would have to rise, which means the studios would have made less money. Well, that creates the same problem and puts everything on a different playing field. And the budgets have nothing to do with the interest from the audience, okay? The interest from the audience is purely based on how many tickets were sold for those films. So by adjusting for inflation, this puts everything on a 100% level playing field. And this graph is actually showing you the movies that had the most ticket sales ever for DC. You can see number 1 is The Dark Knight. Number 2 is The Dark Knight Rises. Number 3 is Superman the movie, and that's pretty astounding. I had no idea that many people went to actually see that movie in 1978. You had Aquaman as number 4, Joker as number 5, Batman from 1989 as number 6. Batman vs. Superman breaks the top 10. Wonder Woman is number 8. It breaks the top 10. The first Suicide Squad movie breaks the top 10. Man of Steel breaks the top 10. All right, so looking at these numbers, this is pretty astounding. If you look at the Batman that just got released in 2022, it's number 13 on the list. It's number 13. It didn't sell anywhere near as many tickets as even Justice League. Well, it was close. The same as Justice League in 2017. And Justice League was considered a failure. The interest wasn't there. But people went to see Man of Steel. People went to see Suicide Squad. People went to see Wonder Woman. They saw Batman vs. Superman. And they saw Aquaman. These are all movies in the DCU. Look at where these rank on this huge list. Most of the early DCU movies were in the top 10. At the time when Snyder was there. At the time when Ayer was there. At the time when Patty Jenkins was there. This is when the DCU was successful and sold the most tickets. Where do the recent releases go? The Suicide Squad by James Gunn is number 34 on this list. Movies that go lower than that is Shazam 2, Blue Beetle. Those are the bottom 3 movies. And the guy who did the Suicide Squad is in charge of the DC universe. Think about that for a minute, guys. That's freaking huge. Everything after Aquaman became a joke. But it started to come back. Number 21 is Black Adam. That's when things started to get better for the studio. But they pulled the rug out again. So this is the definitive list. This is what you can show everybody and show them how popular the DCEU was, especially in those earlier films. And what's crazy about that is if you take these top 5 films, which would be phase 1 of the DCU, and you compare it to the top 5 films or the first 5 films for Marvel's universe, and the DCEU sold more tickets and made more money than the movies did for Disney. Yet everyone wants to call this a failure. So for all the haters out there, you cannot deny the facts. All right, guys, let's look at a couple of other things. And this goes on to what I just said. And this is something somebody posted, James Rippey 1161. Said, what's really amazing is that when you don't adjust for inflation, Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Aquaman, and that butchered monstrosity that is Justice League, the box office of those 6 movies combined made more at the box office than Marvel Phase 1. You remember those movies, right? Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America First Avenger, The Incredible Hulk, and The Avengers. Say what you want, but the first 6 movies of the DCU out-earned the first 6 movies of the MCU. Somebody replied with, thank you for saying that. People just seem to forget that. It's true. It is true. So yesterday I went to my comic shop to pick up, what I was really excited to pick up was ThunderCats issue 1. But you can see that there's a storyline here that's pretty anticipated in Batman. It is Joker Year 1, Part 1. I'm getting real close to catching up to that. I think I'm about 3 issues away, and I will be reviewing a lot of the Batman titles now as I'm catching up finally. I've been behind for about the last 5-6 years, and I've always been trailing, but I'm finally caught up. But this is a storyline that is expected to be pretty popular for Batman comics, but we'll see if it's any good or not. Now, one of my followers posted this, and I think I'm going to start using this with the haters come up. It says, this is Batman all beaten up on the ground, and he says, every damn night, and yet I'm still here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's what I say. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. All right, now this is pretty cool. Joe Manganiello came out and said it would be cool for Deathstroke to have an origin series on Max. He said it would have its own tone and its own place within the universe. I think it would be very fun and tonally very unique. Yeah, I think everybody wanted to see him come back as Deathstroke. And unfortunately, the studio robbed us of that. They had everything right there in their hands, and they just threw it all away. Now, this last photo I have here is pretty cool. This is in regards to Christian Bale, who played Bruce Wayne in the Dark Knight series. It says, Christian Bale is building 12 foster homes that aim to keep siblings in the foster care system together and under the same roof. He started working on the project 16 years ago. He said, I hope that this village will be the first of many, and I hope that people come join us in opening our eyes to what's happening right under our noses. These are our children, and we must help our children. He is a real-life Bruce Wayne, guys. Right there. That is a real-life Bruce Wayne. And for people who aren't familiar with Bruce Wayne, he had an orphanage that he took care of in the comics. And so this is a real-life Bruce Wayne right here. You're seeing him right there in the flesh. Now, I personally don't think he looks like Bruce Wayne, but that's a whole argument for another day. All right, guys, so there you have it. Like I said, it's been a slow news day, but I am so sick and tired of everybody online saying Zack Snyder ruined everything. He didn't ruin anything. He's the one that brought all the success to Warner Brothers, but they just decided to throw it all away. They decided to butcher his work. They decided to butcher David Ayer's work, and they wanted to go in tone with Marvel, and they finally got their way, starting with Shazam 1, and then everything after that was a complete disaster. Yet that's the route they continue to go down. So James Gunn says that Superman Legacy will be tonally different from anything else, and that they are going to keep all the characters tonally different for the DCU. But I got real worries that this is even going to get off the ground because their stock is still under $10 today. Now, it did raise, I think, about 13 cents from the low of $9.70 yesterday. I think it ended at like $9.83 today. But what happens is if this stock stays under $10 for more than a few days, it spells real trouble for Warner Brothers Discovery. So I'm going to be following everything. I'm going to continue to look at their stock. I'm going to continue to report on their progress. You know, It's crazy that they announced that big sports app the other day and that didn't get their stock to rise. Like, nobody has any confidence in the leadership of David Zaslav. And it's just pretty crazy right now, guys. This is some nuts. I mean, this is all nuts. Everything that's going on is just freaking insane. But I'm going to continue to cover everything as we go forward. I've got my fingers crossed that they will eventually get back to greatness, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video.